Good evening, and thank you everyone for being here. I know that people are working hard right now as we are in the throes of the beginning of the semester, and the semester being at another extraordinary semester amidst COVID-19. So thank you for being here tonight as we conduct our business. Let's call the meeting to order at 7:05. Madam Clerk, can you just do a roll call to ensure that we've got everything here?
Yes, Trustee Withrow.
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins.
Here.
Trustee Handy.
Here.
Trustee Delphine Polk.
Here.
Trustee Gonzalez, Trustee Bonilla, sorry. I didn't. Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen
I'm right here.
and Trustee Reese.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Madam President, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. President Garcia, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance once our board clerk, Maisha, gets the flag up and posted?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Let us move on to 2.4, the affirmation of the statement of cooperation. As per usual, we are going to start off the meeting with the cooperation statement to ensure that we remember and we remind ourselves as we conduct the meeting of our communication protocols. The board will agree to listen and seek to understand others and opposing viewpoints with good intentions and expectations of a deep commitment to the district's students. The board is continuing to work on trust in and among our members. We commit to being prepared for each meeting and to work within our established communication protocols when we seek additional information. Members are expected to and will review the agenda for the meeting and adhere to board policy 2340 for adding items to the agenda. We have reviewed the board's code of ethics and commit to reviewing it annually. Part of this is actually not, I can't see the whole thing here. To remind ourselves of the behavior we are to exhibit and the guidelines we are to follow in our role. If the code of ethics is violated, we commit to follow the process stated in the code and will first address concerns informally to settle disagreements one-on-one between and among members before moving to the formal process. Number 6, we agree that from time to time, the chair will remind members of appropriate behavior and may call for a recess or redirect members if they stray from the topic of discussion. Number 7, we collectively recognize that it is within the duties and authority of the chair to render decisions or take actions to keep our meetings on track in adherence to the board policy. We will strive to fulfill the vision we established for ourselves. And number 9, we will model the behavior we want others to exhibit. Thank you. Let's move on to the report of action taken in closed session 2.5. Vice President Gonzalez-Yuen, do you have a report for us?
I do. It's in 2 separate places. So let's see. First, on a motion by myself and seconded by Trustee Withrow, the board voted unanimously to approve a settlement agreement a settlement agreement with employee number 108-01463 on a roll call vote with Trustee Withrow, Handy, Delphine Polk, Jenkins, Reese, and myself voting yes, and Trustee Bonilla being absent. And then there were a number of appointments that were made. These were all done on a vote of 6 yeses, 0 noes, and 1 absence, with the ayes being trustees Withrow, Jenkins, Handy, Delphine Polk, myself, Gonzalez Ren, and Napoli Abella Reese. And so I'm going to read these. On that vote, we accepted the recommendation to appoint Atia Rashada as the acting director of student activities and campus life at Laney College at a salary of $103,759. Effective February 10, 2021 through June 30, 2021. And that position reports to the Vice President of Student Services. Similarly, we approved the recommendation to appoint, excuse my pronunciation here, it's Shaga Hayeg Sasha Amiri as the assistant to the chancellor and board clerk in the district office at a salary of $103,759 annually, effective March 1st, 2021 through February 28, 2023. And that position reports to the chancellor and the Board of Trustees. We approve the recommendation to extend the appointment of Laura Espino as the acting dean of academic and student affairs at Laney College through March 31, 2021, or until the permanent dean returns to his position, and that is at a salary of $126,816 annually. That position reports to Vice President of Instruction at Laney College. We approve the recommendation to extend the appointment of Mark Fields as the acting Vice President of Instruction at Laney College through March 31, 2021, or until the position is filled on a permanent basis. The salary is $132,580 annually. The position reports to the college president of Laney College. And Madam President, that concludes the closed session readouts for tonight.
Thank you for that. Now I think you can all hear me much more clearly now. Let's move on to the approval of the agenda 2.6. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. So Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen, first motion, second motion, Trustee Jenkins. Discussion? Roll call?
Okay, student trustee Yeroni,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
trustee Handy,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez-Yuen,
Yes.
and trustee Reese.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. 2.8, Associated Student Government Reports. Madam Board Clerk, do we have students in the room?
We need to do
Excuse
the
me.
minutes.
2.7, approval of the minutes.
So
Motion, please. Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Jenkins, discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay, student trustee Yeroni,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
trustee Handy,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez-Yuen,
Yes.
and trustee Reese.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you. Let's try this again. 2.8, Associated Student Government Reports. Do we have any wonderful students reporting for us and presenting today?
I just moved them in. We have Lauren Wallace and Liam Zhu.
Lauren from which college?
Hi, I'm from College of Alameda.
Hi, Lauren. Welcome. Okay, why don't you go ahead, Lauren?
Okay, thank you. So first, I'd like to say that we have established 3 events for this for this February, March, and then April. The first one is going to be on the 18th. It's called Home is Where the Heart Is. So it's like a scavenger hunt where we'll find symbols of what love means to you in your community. We also have on the March 18th, a walk in your shoes, which will be a virtual field trip of like your hometown or country using Google Maps. And then on, I believe, April 15th, we'll have a COVID Couldn't Keep Us Down COA talent show. And basically we'll have a sign up where people can sign up to do special talents or like read poetry or play music or whatever. Our next point is that we've been working on recruitment so that COA has a strong Senate in the following years, such as going to different classrooms and asking people to join and stuff like that. We have also established our office hours. And lastly, for Black History Month, we have created a list of must-read books by Black authors. That's everything. Thank you for listening.
Great, thank you, Lauren. Liam, are you available? Is your mic unmuted?
Yep. All right, good evening, President Reese, members of the board, Dr. Walter, and guests. First, I am proud to report that ASBCC held our first meeting of the semester during the first week of school. And in the past week, the ASBCC presented the third-party proctoring resolution to the Academic Senate, where we actually received a unanimous endorsement to restrict honor lock use and to establish an Academic Affairs Commission, which will oversee strategies and settle conflicts to uphold academic integrity in our classrooms. We're also in communications with the presidents of associate students at our sister colleges, and we'll support their efforts surrounding this issue. And since the fall semester, ASBCC and the BCC Campus Life Office were devising strategies to be innovative with the Club Rush process. This is to best facilitate interested students. So today was actually day one, and we were proud to have clubs from our sister colleges join us as well for around 50 students in total. We have 3 events planned so far, one being the Shark Tank preliminary info session this Thursday. As you may know, we are organizing an ambitious Peralta-wide community event in Shark Tank, and we welcome students from all colleges, all majors to compete, volunteer, or attend the live event. The sign-up deadline to compete and win prizes is this Thursday. So yeah, all in all, it has been a productive start to a great semester ahead. And to finish off my report, I would like to give a shout out to the BCC Campus Life Office and also the student ambassadors who hosted Welcome Week Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, to help students enroll and acclimate back to classes. They also featured a live chat on the BCC website since the onset of the pandemic last year, and they made support available to thousands of students throughout this time. And that'll conclude my report.
That's great. Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Lauren. Do we have any other associated student reports, Maisha? Okay, thank you.
We do not.
That's good. Thank you for that. 2.9, Peralta Classified Senate Report.
There we go. Okay.
Hello. Hello, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
We can. Good evening.
Oh, great. Good evening. President Reese, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Walters, presidents, and guests. Tonight we have one Classified Senate Campus report. The report comes from the Laney College Classified Senate. This February, there will be several virtual events celebrating Black History Month. The theme is Getting Our Mind Right. Revive, refresh, and rejuvenate. Black History Month 2021 will be a time of celebration, reflection, and fellowship as we learn and highlight Black African American cultural and historical experiences. Workshops will be held throughout the month, focusing on mental health and healing. On Wednesday, February 10th at 12 noon, as part of the speaker series, Dr. Donna Carey will be discussing generational health in our community. All events are posted on the Laney events page. For any questions, please contact Ms. Hope Lane. Her email is hlane, HLANE, @peralta.edu. That is the end of the campus reports. Thank you very much for your support of the Peralta Classified Senate.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Let's go to 2.10 District Academic Senate Report.
Good evening, President Reese, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Walters, and the President, and everybody who's here. We're going into our third, I believe it's our third week now, and we're having face-to-face lab classes and studios and so on, the ones that faculty wanted to do and students wanted. So I really appreciate the board and the chancellor for allowing this opportunity. There has been some rough edges to go along with that, but we're moving along. We're trying to make sure that everybody is following the protocols. And I obviously forgot to mention the athletic training. So I think all of those have been moving along, and I really appreciate the efforts. One of the things that I'm very frustrated about, I guess, would be the accreditation announcement that came about a week ago from the commission that basically put our any decision on abeyance until June in terms of their June meeting. That was very, very distressing to hear because of the amount of work that had been done. And I personally was disappointed because the president, Stephanie Droker, back when we first were placed on this probation, she had indicated she wanted to keep these two things separate. One was fiscal, and the other one was our regular every number of years where we have our accreditation process. She wanted to keep those two separate. And in the end, the commission and her decided not to do that, and they decided to basically say no foul, but we're not going to say you're off of probation or anything. So that was very, very disappointing. The only thing that they cited was looking at wanting to see our audits. And given all of the information that they were provided, I really thought that that was pretty disappointing. Finally, part of the concern at this time of the year has been where we're looking into the future and we're trying to determine what our FTES is going to be for the upcoming year for 21-22. And as a result, for our preparations for summer and fall that we're going through right now, we were all told how many FTF that we have to cut. That's faculty for those of you who don't know the FTES and FTF. And so because of the major cuts, because of the downward spiral we have in our enrollment, these cuts were being implemented by the colleges. And it's been across the board rather than nuanced. And so I myself in my department, I'm going to have to cut, classes and faculty that are very, very productive in terms of their classes. And that's a disappointment. And I think Jennifer Chinosky, the PFT president, is going to speak on this. What I wanted to speak on is that we have yet to do anything that stops this spiral. And this is truly a a spiral that is not stopping. And for the last 5 years, it has been going down. And it will greatly impact our ability to say, we're a district of. Right now, we say 30,000 students, and I hazard a guess that that number is probably now at 18,000 or 19,000 students. And so my concern is that we need major initiatives to try to change that around. And I have yet to see any college or the district propose anything that will begin to mitigate that. So my challenge to this board and to the administration is the Senate and everyone is willing to help, but what are we going to do about this? And so I'll leave you with that we're having intergroup dialogues that are jointly sponsored by a variety of different entities here in Peralta. And this is an attempt to really begin to address with difficult dialogues. And we're having a series of these trainings, and I welcome board members to attend any of those. We will forward you the information. It's going to be some wonderful sessions, and we're getting a lot of support from faculty who want to participate. So thank you very much, and that ends my report.
Thank you, Donald, for that report. Let's move on to 2.11 public communication. Vice President Gonzalez-Yuen, would you like to take that over?
Yes, thank you. We have a number of public speakers, not that many. I think 8 or 9, I can't quite tell. So let me call them in order. And Ms. Jameson, if you could let people into the room. We've got Jennifer Shinosky, Chris Weidenbach, Jeff Sinceri, who I think is simply ceding time to Jennifer Shinosky, Francis Howard, and Janelle Tillotson. Why don't we start with them? We also have Angelina Ensley, Maria Villagomez, and Eleni Gastis. And then Liam Zhu, I don't know whether you're also speaking in public comment or whether you were doing a report, a student government report. But if we can start with Jennifer Shinosky, and I believe Jeff Sinceri is ceding time. And Jeff, if that's incorrect, please let me know.
I believe that's correct. And don't worry, I'm not going to prattle on for 6 minutes. So,
Oh, President Shinosky, you never prattle.
Well, I try, but I do have 2 distinct items that I'd like to comment on tonight. So I'm going to start with the more weighty of the 2 and then come back to something uplifting that I think others are here to speak to about as well. So Donald sort of alluded to some of this, and we at PFT and DAS and throughout the faculty are really concerned about some cuts that we learned were coming to our colleges just last week. So last week, department chairs were told by their administrators that the FTEF allocations to the colleges would be decreased again next year as compared with this year. This decrease, reported to be at least 70 FTEF, comes on the heels of a decrease of almost 150 FTEF, according to the BI tool, from last year, 2019-20, as compared to this year, 2020-21. And to put this into context, when we're talking about FTEF, a decrease of 150 FTEF represents the cutting of 750 3-unit sections throughout the colleges. PFT is not naive about shifts in our enrollment, and we know that we need to adjust accordingly. We believe, however, that the district's approach to this issue is to continue to cut, and that cutting is inevitably going to result in lower enrollment. In other words, we're gravely concerned about the death spiral that we seem to be in. This evening, I sent board members and chancellor a document that outlines some of the concerns that PFT and DAS brainstormed together that we have about those cuts, the management of the cuts, and the need to reconsider this approach immediately. We urge the district to consider how it proposes to increase its revenue next year from the state while decreasing faculty costs and still meet the 50% law without shifting parcel tax dollars from the places that voters intended them to be spent. We urge the district to reconsider allocating faculty based on a rolling average that includes a year affected by a global pandemic and using a productivity number that ignores the reality of that pandemic, namely online courses with smaller class sizes to promote success and face-to-face courses that require social distancing, which inevitably means smaller class sizes. We urge the district to question why cuts are being made to faculty without commensurate cuts in other staffing areas, particularly the administration. No offense to y'all. If we are cutting faculty because we have fewer students to serve, then shouldn't we also need fewer administrators to oversee these faculty and serve these students? We urge the district to remember that we are here to educate students, and we cannot educate students without offering the classes that they need. We urge the district to use our hold harmless funds as an opportunity to plan for growth, not as a savings to use in preparation for failure. We urge the district to use parcel tax funds as they were intended by voters to augment our Fund 1 dollars, not to supplant them. We look forward to working with the board and administration to support our community by offering more classes next year, not fewer, and to engage in a robust enrollment management conversation, as well as a serious recruitment effort so that we do the work we're here to do, which is educate students. Okay, end scene. Now I'm moving on to my other topic. Are you ready? Okay. So I'd like to finish by asking your support in promoting and participating in the intergroup dialogue training series that will be beginning on February 19th. This training was developed initially by the PFT Diversity Committee, spearheaded by the wonderful Janelle Tillotson, who will be speaking a little bit later tonight, in response to the feedback that we received during our contract campaign last year. We're really excited that so many throughout the district have partnered with us for a positive, constructive way to approach change throughout the district. This training will be what we hope is the beginning of a longer investment in working together in better service of our students. We have space for 200 people at this training, and we hope that all of you here tonight will be among them, and that you'll also encourage participation throughout the district. There's no better way to show everyone how important this work is than for you to be part of it. We need your participation in order to just demonstrate the importance of the work. And we need you to share it with other folks so that they understand the importance of this work. We'd like to applaud those within the district who have already registered and those who have given time off, especially to our classified staff, to allow them to participate as well. We look forward to seeing as many of you as possible on the 19th, and we look forward to working with you to overcome our differences and ensure that Peralta is stronger through that collaborative effort. Thank you so much and have a great night.
Thank you very much. And Jennifer, could you, if you would, just drop a link to that event into the chat so that people can know where to find it?
Absolutely. I'll put the registration link in the chat, and then I'll also put a link to the flyer so you have both.
Thank you. The next speaker is Chris Weidenbach, and then followed by Francis Howard. And it looks like we have fewer speakers than I thought tonight. I've been notified that a couple people are just here attending. So Chris Weidenbach.
Good evening, everyone. I'm in a really dim light here, so if you can see me, I look a little funny. I want to echo PFT President Shinosky's, what do we call that? Hype message about the intergroup dialogues. I've been privileged to be involved in some of the planning for the intergroup dialogues, and I'm very excited that it's about to begin. I think it's going to transform the district. And if people didn't get a sense of that, didn't get a strong enough sense of that from the taste you got at one of the Flex Day sessions, I'll just say the signals you got that it's serious and that it's potentially transformative, those are correct. It's going to get a lot deeper than what we saw in those Flex Day sessions, and we need it. I also want to just mention that Black Minds Matter Peralta has now garnered the endorsements of for the holistic plan for safety and wellness from all 4 colleges' faculty senates and the district academic senate. We had a very productive encounter today with the Laney Health and Safety Committee, and the second plank in our plan calls simply for calling together the leaders from the health and safety committees at all the colleges, as well as the facilities and operations managers, because that's how decision-making should happen at colleges and in our district. So I hope everyone will support the plan and we can keep moving forward with non-policing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Quick question about that intergroup event. Can I ask a question? Is that something that people commit to for the entire time, or could you come to one of those sessions and that would be appropriate? And would those sessions be open to trustees as well? Don't want to interfere.
The training is really intended for people to commit to 4 Fridays of 3 hours each. I think if people have a serious obstacle that prevents them from that kind of participation, there might be some consideration. And I would suggest reaching out to Janelle Tillotson directly about that.
Thank you. The next
Thank
speaker,
you.
Francis Howard, and then followed by Janelle Tillotson.
Oh.
So Francis Howard, I don't believe ever came.
Okay. Janelle Tillotson, and then Angelina Ensley. And then apparently Maria Villagomez is not speaking, and neither is Eleni Gastis. And then I don't know whether Liam Zhu is coming back for public comment.
Okay, Liam Zhu is not in the attendees list right now.
Okay. Ms. Tillotson.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Janelle Tillotson. I'm a counselor at Laney College and the chair of the diversity.
Can others hear? I think the volume.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me better?
That's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
My apologies. I'm Janelle. I'm a counselor at Laney and yes, the diversity chair of the Peralta Federation of Teachers. And just as Jennifer and Chris did, I'm here to highlight and promote the Intergroup Dialogues workshop. It will be taking place on 4 Fridays over a 12-hour training from 1 to 4 p.m. on February 19th and 26th and March 5th and 12th. I want to thank so much to Chancellor Walter, Vice Chancellor Brown, the District Academic Senate, and the district's Staff Development Office, and so many of the different constituencies across the colleges and the district office that have offered support and are promoting the event. I wish to thank also the 80 individuals, faculty, classified professionals, and administrators who have filled out our interest form and let us know that they are interested in this work, with nearly 50 confirmed participants. The intergroup dialogue framework, it addresses power dynamics and encourages storytelling within groups, diverse in demographics and composition, and what could become one restorative practice available to us to address issues like racism and other intersectional oppressions that occur in this district. I want to invite everyone, but especially a shout out to my classified professionals. The benefit and positive impact that you have in our community cannot be overstated. And I understand that given the very important frontline work that you do for students, makes participation in these trainings more challenging because our students benefit directly from you and your important work. Thank you to the administrators who have been able to support participation for those classified professionals who are interested. And a shameless plug for anyone who would like to register or just find out more information or put their name in the hat for future consideration of trainings, crossing my fingers. Please fill out the intergroup dialogue interest form. There is a link in the chat, and the website is www.tinyurl.com/intergroup-dialogues. Thank you so much to everyone who is taking a risk to get a little closer.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tillotson, and thank you for that work. I believe, President Napoli-Bellarice, that concludes public comment. I've been informed that Francis Howard is not here and that the remaining speakers actually were not planning to speak. So
Okay.
I think we can move to our next part. If in fact I'm incorrect, please message me, but I believe we can move to our next item.
Great. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Jennifer. And then also thank you, Chris, for your comments. Now let's move on to the Chancellor's report. We are at 2.12.
Thank you so much. Tonight we're going to have our president's reports, and they will be each supplementing their reports with an enrollment update and where we are in the current period. And then after they've done their report, I will provide a summary statement. And we're going to start with Berkeley City College tonight.
And may I ask if you guys want me to share your report, just give me a heads up and I'll do so.
Thank you very much, Maisha. Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees, fellow colleagues, and all of our community members and participants. I'm excited to, I don't know why, I was really excited for the board meeting today. I feel like in the third week of the semester, there's a lot of energy. And really, I think with my opening comment, we've been receiving daily announcements through the PCTV announcement, daily messages in honor of Black History Month, where we have learned about scientists and artists and activists and economists, from George Carruthers to Jane Matilda Boleyn, Destiny Muhammad, Amanda Gorman. And I was really honored to learn that our very own colleague and classified professional, Ramona Butler, who oversees our EOPS care program at Berkeley City College, is the one who's helping to provide this information. And I think that an opportunity to highlight and honor the way that all of our colleagues contribute, but especially from the ranks of our classified professionals, found them to be these hidden gems of reminders, and in communications that I've had with Ramona, being able to share that it shouldn't just be during Black History Month, that it should just be the history that we all must know and in our ways. So I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge Ramona and her contributions, not just to Berkeley City College, but to our entire district. And that maybe now when you get tomorrow's message, you'll know that there's a level of intention that's coming from one of our very own colleagues to share some learnings with us. I also, in a moment, I'm going to share an enrollment data slide. And I want to acknowledge that in theory, I feel like I want to share 4, but I'm going to stay true that there is just 1. And I provide some comments to that. So I'm going to share the screen this evening here and offer some context. So what you have before you for Berkeley City College, and certainly we've had President Shanowski and our District Academic Senate President have referred to what's going on in terms of declining enrollment. So what I wanted to take the opportunity to share here is where Berkeley City College stands in comparison at this point in the semester compared to last year at this point in time. For context, our FTES is the full-time equivalent student, and you'll see here that the target that Berkeley City has is 1,462, meaning that Berkeley City College will contribute to our overall, the overall district FTES target by this amount. As of today, our actual and post-census date is 1,255. So you can see that we are still short from our target. But on the flip side, we're at 86% of the FTS target compared to 91% last year. I also want to take a moment to just acknowledge that you'll see where we are in terms of enrollment. And I'm gonna pull us down to this part of the conversation for enrollment and unduplicated headcount, because that will make some of these higher numbers in a little bit more context. So you'll see that at spring 2021, we have 6,661 students as of today, unduplicated headcount. At this point last year, we had 6,593. So on one metric, we do have an increase of headcount of students, but what we're seeing is the enrollment. They're just not enrolling in as many units. And for a whole host of reasons, starting with COVID-19 and ending with virtual learning and maybe a little bit of national racial and civic unrest, there's a lot of stressors that are going on for students at this time. So with these numbers wanting to provide, we have more students, they're enrolling in less classes. This starts to impact why we're seeing some of our declines in terms of full-time equivalent students, because they're just not enrolling in as many units. And that then leads to addressing the deficits that we're seeing in terms of meeting our target. We also see that for Berkeley City College, we've seen a decline in our non-resident full-time equivalent students, and that has much to do with what was a slightly growing international student population for Berkeley City College over the last couple years, has been impacted by larger items connected in a lot of ways to the United States legislation and travel bans and so forth. Conversation, we've heard some of our colleagues speak to the FTEF, full-time equivalent faculty allocation. So for Berkeley City College, last year we had an allocation of 101, this year at 96. You'll see here where we showed our full-time equivalent actual, meaning how many faculty we actually had on the schedule. And we're holding here for excluding dual enrollment, because we actually, Berkeley City College has seen an exponential growth in dual enrollment, which has supported the fact that we've not experienced as deep of declines. Want to note here our productivity. We talk a lot about that in terms of efficiency. And last year at this point in time, we were at 14.8. Right now we are at 13.4. And there are a couple of things that lead to this. During this pandemic, we've agreed and are supporting the class cap size is 32. When prior to COVID-19, online courses were often ones where some faculty would elect to carry more students. So we're seeing the impact of just fewer students and possible cap size. You can see here that we are declining our number, we've reduced our number of sections that were offered, and therefore we're seeing here now the census. So wanted to provide a little bit of an in-depth context to the data that you see in front of you. Some high-level things at the bottom. We've seen an increase in our student population demographics that are 16 to 18, and that's specifically to our dual enrollment growth and a lot of efforts behind that, and our 35 to 54-year-old student population. Slight increase in females. I think this is a good sign of slightly more California residents, more part-time, but then that leads to the flip side of fewer full-time students, fewer international, fewer males, and a decline in the 19 to 24-year-old group. Now, what I want to also provide in just my closing comments here is some context to the data. And what that shows is, for dual enrollments especially, There are particular colleagues that I want to make a moment to highlight because a lot of work is going into our enrollment management strategies and specifically amongst the ranks of our classified professionals and some of our faculty. So Gail Pendleton and Hui Hyun, who are some of our classified professionals that are really working on the enrollment portion, the outreach, the connecting with local community students to access Berkeley City College. Dri Regalado and Skylar Barton for intentional curriculum coordination and the ongoing work that's happening right now with the district and the college for increasing our CCAP or our career and college pathways. And we have those with Berkeley, with Albany and Emory. And so we're hoping to see continued growth in dual enrollment. And I do want to note, in case members of the board are interested, I think that we should be paying attention to some of the bills that are coming forth. So Assembly Bill 102, sponsored by Holden, is trying to eliminate the 2027 sunset date for CCAPs. And that's something that would greatly benefit our district. So paying attention to a piece of legislation related to that, as well as paying attention to legislation that impacts transfer pathways. So we're paying close attention to the trailer bills from the governor's budget proposal, specifically to the one that's asking for California community colleges to partner more intentionally with both the CSUs and the UCs to increase the associate degrees for transfer pathways. And that's important because right now we do have ADT pathways, but there's a select number in particular programs. And the trailer bill is basically asking to broaden that scope and guarantee an articulation from the community college to the four-year institutions. And honestly, our colleague, Andrea Williams, who's the coordinator of the Career and Transfer Center, I learned that she herself hosted 54 workshops last fall to, I'm gonna stop screen share, to support students in transfer. It's definitely a pathway that Berkeley City College has a lot of efforts around. Our data show that students are transferring at higher rates, but nonetheless, that's all within the context of trying to provide high quality academic and student support services during this virtual environment. So with that, I'm going to conclude my comments and just end with really highlighting that the intentionality around enrollment management is not just about FTES and FTEF. It's really focused on completion. And I believe that everyone is coming to the table so that we can support students from access to completion. And we look forward to being good partners with all of the colleges and our district colleagues to continue to make Peralta the place where students want to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Garcia. No, I'm sorry. So I would like to ask that we hold the questions for the presidents until all the presidents have completed their reports. And if that's okay, we would move to Dr. Jones, the president at College of Alameda.
Good evening, President Reese, trustees, Chancellor Walter, colleague, and guests. I'm pleased to provide a brief report on our enrollment and enrollment management strategies, as well as share with you a few highlights of the good work and accomplishment being done at the College of Alameda. The college has an annual FTS target for 2021 academic year of 3,003 FTS. 300 is allocated to the summer, 1,351 for the fall and spring terms. We fell short of our summer target by 8 and fall target by 197 FTS. In an effort to mitigate the continued decline in enrollment experienced in the fall, largely fueled by the pandemic, College of Alameda has been engaged in comprehensive and intentional efforts to provide student-centered support and services, as well as expanded course offering to minimize FTS shortfalls. These efforts include targeted marketing and outreach, expansion of dual enrollment, 24/7 financial aid support, establishing a call center, among other strategies. Because of these efforts, we are now projecting that the spring FTS shortfall will be 138, which would be an improvement of 30% over the fall actual FTS production. I would like to thank our dedicated faculty, staff, and administrators for their creativity, compassion, and adaptability. Next, the College of Alameda's Aviation Maintenance Technician Program, in partnership with Oakland Aviation Museum and local high school and industry partners, will be applying for a Federal Aviation Administration grant, which is due March 22nd. Grant awards will range from $25,000 to $500,000. Lastly, the College of Alameda has been ranked in the top 50 of best associate degrees in psychology program by intelligent.com. Their comprehensive research guide is based on assessment of nearly 2,300 accredited colleges and universities. Programs are evaluated based on curriculum quality, graduation rates, reputation, and postgraduate employment. COA's psychology for transfer associate degree was ranked as the best in the area of mindfulness training. Congratulations to our outstanding faculty, Professor Robert Brem, Elham Chisti, Sarah Peterson Gouda, and Bishop Scott. That ends my report. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. And we'll move on then to Dr. Rudy Besikoff from Laney College. Rudy, I would imagine you have to unmute. Is he not here? Let's see. Well,
He was here.
A second ago.
Yeah.
Looks like he has fallen off. Let me see if he's contacted.
Oh, that's internal, not external. We lost him.
Okay. Well, we'll try to find him and bring him back in a moment. So we'll go ahead with Dr. Johnson at Merritt College.
Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll let that wash over you for a second, the special graphic there. It took a lot of work. So good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to provide an enrollment overview of for Merritt College. So the good thing about going later is that I let my other presidents do a lot of the heavy lifting. But what you're about to see is 3 small slides, then and sticking to the spirit of one larger slide. You see it at the end. But to give you, what I did was I wanted to provide kind of a more panoptic view of 2019, 2020, to give you a sense of where we are, where we were, where we are now, where we're going. So as you can see, in the summer of 19 and fall of 19, we actually exceeded our FTS target for resident students. We were 108% of the target for the summer, 100% for fall, and we were still at 92% for spring 20, which we all know was the beginning of the pandemic. Many of those students had already enrolled, and we were able to keep many of them through the census date. So we were 97.4% of our target, which was very, very good. We also were able to maintain a productivity for that year of 15.46, which was very, very strong. Not at 17.5, obviously, which is the goal, but very strong, strongest in the district. And we did it while being below our allocation, FCF allocation, by about 9 FTEF, so about $450,000 savings to the district. So 2021 tells a bit of a different story. Summer 20, FTS target still 97.83%. Fall dropped to 84.73, and right now you see that we're only at 76.3% of our target. Now, one thing, and if you notice the actual FTES, it's nearly 400 FTES below. Now, one thing to note, and this is true actually for all of the colleges, the FTES number should increase. It's not going to be a dramatic increase of 200 or 300 FTES, but Merritt has 86 late start courses. And not all of those courses are full, obviously. So our expectations that students enroll in classes that don't begin until March, that you're going to see that FTES number come up. We ended up expending about 4 FTEF over our allocation for spring. So we are offering more classes than we were actually allocated. That's balanced out by the fact that we were under allocation for fall 2020. So you see for the year right now, we're at about 2 FTEF under our allocation. And just looking forward to next year and like what the targets are. So we have a total FTES target of 3363. We allocated 211.4 FTEF to make that. I'm confident that we will reach this FTS target because it is even below the target for 2021. And my hope is that by doing a few things in terms of strengthening our enrollment, one of which, the main thing, very excited, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but we did at Merritt College finish up the process of screening a dean of enrollment services. This is not, I want to be very clear, not adding an additional administrative position. It's actually we moved away from the dean of special program and grants and decided that this was a more pressing need. So having this dean of enrollment services is going to be big for us because it's going to really help students get from being interested in Merritt to applying to Merritt to actually enrolling in Merritt and then persisting through Merritt. We're finding, our research has shown that we have a lot of interest in Merritt College, but somewhere along the way, the students that doesn't translate to students actually going through the matriculation process. We also feel that the Dean of Enrollment Services is going to really provide this bridge, going to bridge the gap between A&R and financial aid. So those are just some of the things that we expect from that position. Continue to grow our dual enrollment and just really work on this, as President Garcia noted, really work on the retention aspect. It's not just about getting the students in, but it's being able to keep them here through the semester and persisting from term to term. So I will just say too, in the interest of time, I'll cut my president's report short, but I wanted to note 2 things for Merritt College. We're really pleased to have the opportunity to partner with Ingenesis, which we know is the firm with whom we are contracting to provide the COVID-19 screening services. In order to effectively assess the health and welfare of our students, we need very qualified individuals that have the training, the skills, the experience, the knowledge to do that. And to have the opportunity to pull from our student ranks is big for us. So in order to fill those posts, we're drawing students from our nursing and medical assisting program, which is really critical for 2 reasons. Number one, it's offering a source of employment to our students, keeping it in the community. So that's really big. And the second thing is these students are also able to use this work experience to meet their clinical program requirements. So our screening facility is going to be in the Huey P. Newton room, student lounge in the R building, and we're really excited about that. And finally, given who we are at Merritt, our history and our cultural significance, and the fact that we're into February, I just wanted to say a quick, share some quick thoughts about Black History Month, and just a little history. Carter G. Woodson was the father of Black History Month. He's the second African American to earn a PhD from Harvard, Du Bois being the first. And he was also the founder of the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, and one of my heroes. I just want to say that dispel, because I hear something, it sounds kind of funny, but I have to dispel a rumor or a wives' tale that February is not Black History Month because it's the shortest month. So we need to stop saying that. February is Black History Month. It was conceived as Negro History Week initially to coincide with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. So with that said, I invite you to check out our student activities and campus life page on the Merritt website to learn more about the activities and events that we're having throughout the month. I see we have Rudy back, so I'll pass it on to President Besikoff.
Thank you, President Johnson. I'll go ahead and begin with my president's report this evening, and then shift to an enrollment update for Laney College. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the 40 Laney staff members in 16 different areas of the college who came together on the 23rd and the 30th for our one-stop Saturday events. And special thanks to just our faculty who came out, as well as our leadership and student services and our classified professionals who provided incredible support, along with the counselors and other colleagues that were on hand. This was a virtual event, and we certainly did see an increase in terms of our attendance. And I'll be speaking to that a little bit later when I get into my enrollment management report. You know, obviously we're at community college, and this is a great opportunity to celebrate students. And I would actually like to spotlight Jasmine Au from our Gateway to College program, who was selected as a 2021 Dream Scholar. Jasmine is a senior who will be transferring directly to the University of Hawaii, Honolulu, as an oceanography transfer, and really is a great success story of our Gateway to College program. In fact, the director, William Ochoa, I'm quoting him here, says that she is breaking down barriers as to what a dually enrolled student can obtain through her tenure here at our program. If you would like further information about achieving the dream, it is in your board report, including dates of the ATD 2021 virtual conference from the 16th to the 19th. Also, staying on the theme of achievement, I would like to extend heartfelt congratulations to Dr. Meryl Siegel, faculty in the English department, for the release of a book that she co-edited through Michigan Press, entitled Empowering the Community College First Year Composition Teacher, Pedagogies and Policies. I had the pleasure to talk with Meryl earlier today, and she wanted to be sure to share with everybody in attendance tonight that if you actually access the online version of her book, the first chapter is free of charge. So I think that's something that's great, and we extend our congratulations to Meryl. Also, as promised in the last page of your board report this evening, I've provided a list of the all of the Asian Pacific Islander community leaders, both business and community level supports to residents of our community with whom we have directly collaborated with. And I encourage you to take a moment and peruse that list. And it really, as I previously stated, is a testament to a lot of the great work that colleagues came together and participated in at Laney College. And my thanks especially goes to Dr. David Lee and to Arlene Lontock, who did a lot of the work in bringing a lot of these folks together. And I'll be touching on that in my enrollment report as well. So transitioning now to my enrollment report, I'd like to go ahead and share my screen. So I'm going to be providing a bit of context to my report this evening. And well, my apologies. You know what, for some reason, I'm not able to play my first slide, so I'll just go with this format. So I think tonight, I'll be talking a little bit more about the more quantitative numbers of our enrollment report in a moment. But enrollment at Laney College has been down this year. As of our snapshot right now, enrollments are down 24.7% from where they were in spring 2020. And to say that the pandemic has been a disruption to Laney College is an understatement. As we entered the kind of pre-pandemic stages, we were really taking some steps forward, and you can see them on the left side of this slide. We hit some milestones, including hitting enrollment targets, and we did a number of things. And even, despite our high numbers of labs, we actually had a semester where we led the district in productivity, and which was something of an accomplishment, and a lot of steps moving forward that will continue. But in terms of this semester and really the challenges we've had, I'd like to put some of what's been happening into context for you. A year ago, we had 3 classes in our entire schedule with a class cap of 20 or lower. This now, because of our need to have a safe campus, to have safe lab classes, we've had 40 classes capped below at 20 or lower. And so I think that right there, that kind of is a window into the challenges that we've had. But it doesn't just stop there with class numbers. In a lot of cases in our disciplines, just because of the limitations that have been there, they have not been able to offer the full complement of courses. And in fact, we had one discipline, welding, that in the fall realized that because of the challenges they had, that they would not offer welding at all. And that was a lot of what was there just because of the difficulties. This also led, some of these decisions led to the canceling of a full cohort's worth of instruction for one semester. And that was another challenge as well, just due to low numbers and other difficulties that we encountered. And of course, when we look at challenges of a college, it's about the challenges of our students. And within it, we've certainly seen the needs for access to technology, as well as basic needs and securities. And I did speak earlier to the increase in our support events we had with our One-Stop Saturdays. But honestly, looking at our One-Stop Saturday from fall to spring, while it was an increase, if you look at it from spring to spring, when we had the benefit of a campus, our turnout compared to a year ago was actually less than half. So as you can see, this for a college that has a number of on-campus offerings and a burgeoning athletics program, you can see that the reality of trying to hold classes with a limited campus has really been a challenge. But you know what? Life is not about staying on your problems. It's about talking about solutions. It's about talking about the things that we needed to do. One of the things that we've done throughout is we've preserved our capstone courses, especially in the spring. And when I say a capstone course, I mean that last course that gets you to a degree or a certificate or to transfer. There were a number of times when we had low enrolled courses that we did not cancel for this very reason. We have continued our efforts to advertise, and our public information officer has followed our marketing plan that's in our strategic enrollment plan, and has really advertised in a number of venues that I put before you. In addition to that, working in collaboration with some of our grant funds for career and technical education, as well as our Anna Peasy grant that I've shared about earlier, we've promoted our programs in multiple languages. And I mentioned earlier about our outreach to the API community. But one of the next steps that we need to take is to also reach out to our African American community leaders, and also to our Latinx community leaders. We are so close. We are within less than 1% of being eligible to apply for Hispanic Serving Institution designation. And things like that don't just mean what you might think about, but they mean things like facilities. They mean things like equipment. They mean those types of assistance from the Department of Education. We have increased our dual enrollment participation. We now offer the highest percentage of, or highest amount of dual enrollment, and considering we're the largest college in the district, that's now commensurate, I believe, with our other community colleges. We continue our guided pathways investment and also our continuing support of students and their needs, be it tutoring or counseling. As we move forward and as we've recognized that our low demand was there, to preserve a number of our low demand courses, we've actually used CARES funding that we marked as part of our plan. And with the FTEF that we now have available to us, we are going to revisit our waiting lists from the beginning of the semester and add to our late starting courses. And past semesters data has told us that late starting online classes in the spring are something that's of high demand for students. With all of these issues that we've actually had a few success stories. We've had disciplines that in this online environment realize that this increased presence is actually great for them. And as I mentioned lastly, one of the greatest pieces of collaborative work that we've done so far is work to strengthening our relationships with community leaders. And I'd like to just show you this last slide and pause for a moment, just to show the magnitude of the work we've done reaching out to our Asian Pacific Islander partners in the community. You see all of these, and you see a lot of face-to-face meetings that have taken place, and you also see some meet and greet events that we've done as well. Because we have opted to fund some of our low enrolled courses with CARES funding, there has been some transition in terms of inputting that data. So the exact enrollment data that my colleagues provided tonight as of this point is not true to what Laney is doing. That being said, once we do have those corrections there, I will be disseminating those to the chancellor to communicate to the board. This concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, presidents, for your reports. I do apologize for the lack of data for Laney College, and hopefully we'll have that for you board members next time we come together. So I'll just put a few remarks to the trustees and Vice President Yuen and President Reese, community members, colleagues, friends, family, and all who are watching and participating with us at Peralta. I just want to echo the importance that we need to place on enrollment management as a strategic direction. As was mentioned earlier, with our leadership from District Academic Senate and the Peralta Federation of Teachers, it's not a small thing for us. It is a huge thing, if you don't mind me using the word thing. It is an important strategic initiative that we all need to embrace to halt the downward trend in enrollment. And we've seen that downward trend for a number of years pre-COVID. So there are things that we need to do, ways that we need to partner and communicate, as well as come together and generate ideas and reward some innovation, look at partnerships as we've talked about. And in some cases, I've already begun making those inroads to working with partnerships to bring or reignite programs. But I think we really do, it would really be important for us to, as they say, imagine big change, imagine ways in which we can increase interest, retention, and graduation in our colleges in a way that we haven't done before. I really do believe that these small incremental changes are important, but also really thinking about ways that we can change the way we do business and not have it be business as usual. So we are working on that across the district, with the colleges, and you'll hear more about that as we go forward. And I want to thank the District Academic Senate and the Federation of Teachers for their interest in this area, because, you know, if we don't have students, we don't have a reason to be. So I'll leave that there for your digestion, if you will. And then I also want to just mention briefly the accreditation response that we received. I have to say that I really was hoping for a response that would move the district away from its current accreditation status. But at the same time, the decision of the commission is the decision that the commission made. And what they said was that they were going to defer any action until the conclusion of their June meeting. So we are preparing with keeping the high watch and holding faith and doing all of the actual work that needs to be done to be prepared for the site visit, the virtual site visit, which is happening March 1 through 4 here in less than a month. So we are really working diligently. We're not letting anything deter us. And in fact, while we would have liked to have a different outcome perhaps from the site visit for the special reports, we're okay with the idea that they deferred because we needed to have our audit report finished. It's not finished yet. One of the reasons, well, the reason it isn't finished is because of the executive order from the state chancellor that allowed districts to complete their audit on February 28th, which we're in process of doing. And we should be right on time with that completion. So as I said, we're all moving forward. We're all keeping our eye on the prize, as I've heard one of my colleagues say, and we're working together to make sure that we achieve that outcome, which is to meet the accreditation standards so that we can all move off of probation. And so with that, the only other thing I would like to do is just again reiterate that we are working diligently with our payment provider to make our students whole, to ensure that they're able to pay their fees or enroll without any obstacles when it comes to working with our vendor and moving forward with that. So that'll conclude my remarks for this evening, and I would turn it back over to you, President Reese, and I'd like to thank everybody for their patience in listening to these reports.
Thank you, Chancellor. Do I have any questions from any of the trustees that you'd like to pose to either the Chancellor or the Presidents? I do not see any hands. Nikki, Trustee Gonzalez, you want?
Thank you. And thank you very much for the reports. I think we all understand that these are extraordinary times and that any data that we get has to be seen potentially as a huge aberration just because of the COVID, et cetera. And I think it would probably be useful at some point to have a deeper board workshop on this so that we could understand strategically what we're doing here. What I'm seeing is that for at least 10 years, we've had a productivity goal of 17.5. In my experience, we never hit that productivity goal. And so and this is just an example, we're setting ourselves up, I think, for perennial failure. We say, we're going to hit this goal, and then we never do. And then we try to cut classes and then make the enrollment bigger so that we can somehow hit that goal. And it seems like, well, let me just say it this way. I don't understand the strategy. I don't understand the strategy that says, oh, well, we're going to hit that goal and we're going to cut our way out of this deficit. And so what I kind of want us to understand is, what is that bigger strategy? How does it fit then with a student success and equity strategy? Because in my experience, bigger classes are conversely related to more intensive efforts to meet the needs of those students who are most disadvantaged. And so we're now at loggerheads, but with the student-centered funding formula, if we can call it that, we now have another set of categories that we're supposed to be hitting in terms of budgetary priorities, et cetera. So I think at some point we need a bigger strategic discussion that should include kind of like, here, let's start over. We've been failing at trying to hit our enrollment targets for 10 years. How do we redo this? And maybe we need a different approach entirely. So I'll just, I genuinely appreciate the reports. I think you're struggling under enormously difficult circumstances. I think everybody is. And so, whatever happens right now, I'm just like, all right, whatever, this is a one-off year, but it's not a one-off decade. And I think that we need to just rethink a lot of this, and we need all hands on deck to do that. I'll just say the last thing. I appreciate the attention up at Merritt to bringing on somebody specifically to focus on enrollment management. I don't know that that person needs to be a dean, but I really appreciate the attention to it. And I don't think anybody, anyway, let me just stop. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Trustee Handy. Trustee Handy, do I see your hand up?
Yeah. I'm sorry. This ThinkPad, the ThinkPad, the keys don't work when you want them to.
There you go, we see you.
So my question, I have a couple of questions to it. Thank you all for the reports. I really, at this time during COVID, what we're most interested in is data. And thank you for giving us that. And I'd also, I see how you broke it down by age categories, but for the next ones, could you possibly also break it down by race? We need to know how we're doing in our different populations and how they're faring through this this COVID piece, because we know that Black and brown populations tend to do better in group settings and in person, and we need to know how adversely affected that's happening right now. But and again, thank you for the data. The other thing is I appreciate hearing again about the late starts that happened for Merritt, and I hope that we do have considerable enrollment that happens in March. But I still have this concern, and that we are going live. Our system goes down on Wednesday and doesn't come back up until Tuesday morning. Students will not have any access to the system, will not be able to enroll. And we're already having a lot of challenges. What do you all have in place, a backup system? I've asked for it, but I have not seen it. Will students be able to register manually? Is there a plan, especially at Merritt, where we have the late start, where students will be able to communicate with you and still get registered during that time frame? That's from the 10th to the 16th. That's a lot of days in a student's life. So I just like to know how we're going to address that issue.
Chancellor, Presidents. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't. Chancellor, did you want me to address that, or Antoine, or who did you?
Sure, go ahead, Dr. Johnson, if you have anything. If not, then I'll come in.
Well, no, we are definitely instituting some things even in the next week in terms of on our homepage. We've borrowed from Berkeley City College a particular feature, the chat box feature, that seems to be very successful, where students can enter in questions and be able to communicate directly with a student to answer questions and help them navigate the enrollment process. For those particular days in question, I know a couple of those days are holidays, and we were strategic as a district about picking those days. I would defer to the chancellor and to Antoine Mahele about the functionality of or the ability of students to be able to register for those late start courses during the transition. The technical aspect of it, I'm not as, I'll let them apprise you of that.
And then again, I just want to be clear. Our system is going down at 10 p.m. on Wednesday night, correct? And not coming back up until Tuesday morning. We go live Tuesday morning. That's correct. So we have Thursday and Friday. Monday would be a holiday anyway. So the Thursday and Friday. And I don't know, students tend to be able to do things, well, when we have our mobile systems and stuff, that they're able to register at all time. But I'm just concerned that students are well aware that we're going to be down and what options are available to them, especially if they have some urgency involved.
Yes, ma'am.
So President Reese, would you like me to?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the students are being, and I'll ask Mark Johnson to help us with the particular communications that students are receiving, but they're receiving communications and telling them exactly what they need to do in order to make sure they're able to complete whatever task they need to complete. The system will be down on Friday, which is a holiday for everyone, Saturday, Sunday. Monday is a holiday. They're going to bring it back up on Monday evening in a testing environment. And then the whole thing will be brought back up on Tuesday. So the students are being instructed as to what they need to do between the time they are not going to be able to access the system and the time it comes up. They're getting messages and so forth. So the late start and other classes that they're going to be enrolling in, they'll still be able to enroll in, but we're asking students to pay attention to our upgrade timeline. So let me see if I can ask Mark Johnson to speak to some of the communications that are being sent to students and what they're being told to expect.
Certainly. Thank you, Chancellor. So we've been sending out email communications to students, and we've been intentionally, the late enrollment period has already concluded. So for the classes that started on January 25th, the late ads has concluded. Now we're at the point where students are enrolling for late start classes, and we're advising students that they won't be able to add those classes. They won't be able to withdraw from their current classes during the outage window between 10 o'clock tomorrow night through 6 a.m. on Tuesday.
Okay, thank you for that, Chancellor and Mark Johnson. Okay, any other questions from our trustees? I'll just add one more thing then. I think that you can all hear me okay. Thank you for these reports, definitely, because I think that it helps position us for our study session, which I believe that we're going to have on the agenda 223, that's going to be talking about a kind of analysis and comparison of COVID success rates and analysis of our enrollment before and afterwards. There are a few things that I just would like to also add as it relates to these enrollment reports, and maybe some of the information that we could bring in and have ready for us for that study session. For COA, you had spring 21, if we can ensure that we have the context so that we have the comparisons with spring 20 for BCC. And I know that you wanted to do this, President Garcia, but you didn't bring in the dual enrollment. Would love to see those numbers. And Dr. Johnson, as you had said, and actually all of you had said, the completion and the retention of the success numbers are so important. So we've got those enrollments at census, but we really need to know how our students are doing. The Laney situation with the quantitative data, of course, I'm sure that'll be taken care of by next week, so we can really deeply dive into that. And as Trustee Handy had said, it's very important for us to look at our disaggregated data to kind of see where we're losing our students and which ethnicities are actually our Black and brown students, and at what percentages we're losing them. So those are all incredibly important. And I thank you all for the work. I thank you for this information. But if we could add all of these different contexts to help aid the conversation, I think that that will be helpful for our 223 agenda. And this is going to be a continual discussion, as you said, Chancellor, in terms of enrollment management, our direction forward, our initiatives, and kind of figuring out how we live through this and how we fix this and how we move forward. All right. I don't see any more questions. So let us move on now then to the consent calendar. Can I have a motion for the consent calendar?
Move approval.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Jenkins. Discussion? All right. Board Clerk Maisha, could you do roll call, please?
Ma'am, student trustee Ironi,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
trustee Handy,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Yuen,
Yes.
trustee Reese.
Yes.
Okay, consent calendar, the motion passes to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. Did I skip yet again? My apologies. Informational. We have two items under informational, 3.1 and 3.2. So 3.1 is review the financial statements and cash flow summary ending December 31st, 2020. As both of these are informational items, they are clearly not action oriented. So these were for you all to read. And if you have any questions, please pose them. Otherwise, we will go to 3.2. Anything for 3.1, review the financial statements and cash flow summary. Linda, is that your hand? I can't tell. Yes, okay. Go ahead, Trustee Handy.
Hold on a sec. I'm looking for my notes. You said 3.1.
3.1, review the financial
Okay.
statements and cash flow summary.
Okay, let me just, it was actually, hold on, just one moment. No,
Sure.
no, that's
Okay.
not.
Okay, Bill 3.1, Trustee Withrow 3.1. Questions on 3.1?
Yeah, 3.1. This particular document could be the basis of a course, for crying out loud. For the Vice Chancellor, Ahmed, when you've got, let's just take the top one without going through the whole thing.
Are we talking about the financial report or the cash flow? Which one are you referring to?
It's the financial report.
Okay, thank you.
Unrestricted general funds, 1 and 2. How do we go from a beginning balance to an ending balance down to the penny? In other words, how do we have revenue and expense in exact numbers? In fact, that kind of thing prevails throughout the top part of the document. How do you do that?
Chancellor?
Let me explain. So the columns, the first row, where you have unrestricted general funds, you have the beginning fund balance of 7/1/20, and then you have the adopted budget for the next two columns are the adopted budget FY 2021. And you have revenue and expense. So if you're looking at your adopted budget, which it should say the revised adopted budget, but that's a whole different thing. Your revenues and expenses are balanced. So that's why those two numbers are the same. And then the projected fund balance for June 30, 2021 is showing what the budget is projecting, with including things like reserves and so on. Then if you go to the next section where it says year-to-date actuals, July 1 20 through December 31, 20, it shows you, you know, how much revenue was received, what the expenses were, and then what the encumbrances were. And then if you move on over to the next column where it says percent of actual to budget, 7/1/20 to 12/31/20, you're showing the percentage of revenue and the percentage of expense. And those percentages are related directly to the revenue line of 141, 790, 720, and the percentage of that as it relates to 61, 010979, and the same thing for the expenses. So it's basically telling you we have spent since July, through December, we spent 43% of the revenue and 47% we've incurred of the expenses that were budgeted. So this is really just kind of giving you a snapshot of where we are. And I do agree, Trustee Withrow, that you do need like a couple of big, thick books and the accounting manual to be able to, like, I can't even believe that I actually made that explanation to you in less than 2 minutes, but so there it is. So it's basically telling you that the district is in good shape. Its budget to actual is doing well. And if that answers your question, I hope. If not, if you have a follow-on question, I'm happy to help.
No, that's fine. It's a lot more complicated, I think, than what just looking at it, as you so said. I do have one specific one here. The OPEB Reserve Fund, Fund 69. We've got 4 figures here. What are those 4 figures? 13,802,000.
Okay, so let's see, let me make sure I'm on the same line. Yeah, so here, OPEB reserve. So again, if you look at the column that goes with that, 13,802,000 was the balance, the beginning balance on July 1. There came into the account, or the budgeted amount was 6.5 million in 2021. And then the expenses that are associated with that are 9.3. And so then that leaves your projected fund balance that's being anticipated at the end of the year of 10.9. And you know the OPEB reserve fund is different from the general fund, and it has to do with calculations and machinations regarding the healthcare costs and so forth. So that's what that is.
But is this money that's held in this account, 69? Is that money actual cash in that account?
The 13 and the 6 would be yes, and the 9 is the expense. I'm just using the front number so I don't have to say million. But I can, we can, if there's a further question on how those funds are held. I mean,
the expense, we've got 9,360,000. The funds held in trust cover the cost of retiree healthcare.
Okay, so that's if we want to. So that's a different discussion as far as the invested funds, because that's not being shown in that line.
No, they're not. I mean, it is totally different. I do understand that. It's just making this come alive to me in terms of expenses of $9 million. That is.
Well, that's the cost that we pay for pre and post 2004 healthcare.
Yeah, okay. Retiree healthcare. Again, it's the retiree healthcare runs just short of 11 million a year, and but it's paid by the funds held in trust. What I'm wondering is that if these numbers have to do with the bonds and the payment of principal on the bonds and interest on the bonds?
They do not.
They do not. Okay.
I'm wondering if Chancellor, you'd like to have further either talk with not Dr. Withrow, Trustee Withrow, with more specificity, either email or come back and have that conversation, whichever.
That would be great if we could.
You two tell
right.
me what you want to do. With Trustee Withrow, how are you feeling?
Well, you know,
or is there another question that you would?
It's not really a question. I'm just to make these figures come alive. OPEB is one of the things that the state has looked at, and the accreditation people have highlighted of extreme concern. And I'd just like to have, maybe you could do that too.
So we are. I don't want to interrupt you, Trustee, at all, but we are going to have a report on the OPEB update at another meeting. And it would be
They
really
come alive at that time. That's good.
It'll be a really good time to re-educate ourselves on the simplicity of the OPEB structure that we have. That's a joke. But to help us all get back on the same page as to what we're doing and what it all means. And that is scheduled for us to be doing in a couple of months. So
great. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm fine.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Thank you, Chancellor. Any more questions? I do not see any hands. So let us go to the next informational item, which is 3.2. Review the actuarial reports of retiree health liabilities under GAS B 7475 for fiscal year end June 30, 2020 from Total Compensation Systems. And again, informational only. Are there any questions on this? Is that a
Trustee Withrow?
Trustee Withrow?
Yeah, again, just a comment here. And I appreciate the fact that this is being put for the board, because I think there's a low level of understanding of this particular aspect of it. How do you determine what your risk is at over time? It's very complicated. And if you read it, again, it's difficult to put into the real world, if you will. But one of the things, just to point out, they use a cost escalation factor in doing this, and these are very professional people that do this. A cost escalation factor of 2.76%. The counsel, if you will, the consultant who provides counsel to the district on healthcare, has stated that and this is pre-COVID. COVID thing's going to throw things out of line. I don't want to necessarily get into that, but prior to that, over time, the cost of healthcare in the state of California is going up at the rate of 5 to 6% a year, as opposed to 2.76. But the Peralta healthcare system, the cost is going up 10 to 11%. So just to put that into context, they're using 2.6, and they're showing $230 million projected out over time, and it is a cap system. That's a very conservative number, and they use the 2.76 because they say over time you can't have one factor like healthcare outstrip the overall cost of within the country beyond cost of living. I'm not so sure of that, but neither here nor there. That's a lot of money, 230 million. And if we were using the 10 to 11% figure, even the California figure of 5 to 6%, you're talking putting it up around 400 million. So just an observation here.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. And I think what will be good is that now we have the reports, which we I don't know if we've ever gotten them at the trustee level, but I'm glad that we do have them. And we can bring these questions back. We can take the information back when we do have our OPEB update, because maybe at that particular time too, we will have our financial advisors that we could pose these questions to. And I think maybe I certainly don't want to get into a conversation about that, but I think that one of the things that we're going to be doing is doing kind of market analysis of benefits out there, just to make sure that we are in line with the market in terms of the district and the benefits. But thank you for those comments. And we will certainly bring that back when we have the OPEB discussion, when that comes, a month or a month and a half from now. All right, now, though I went out of order, if I may, I am going to go on to the action items. So let's go to 8.1, consider the second reading and approval of proposed board policies.
Madam
President, can I have a motion? Yes, please.
If there is no objection, I'd like to move all of the action items as a block. If somebody wants to deal with a particular one, I'm happy to modify the motion, but I'd like to move items 8.1 through 8.5 as a block.
I second that.
Okay. Discussion? I just want to reach out to any of our trustees to make sure that there aren't any questions on any of the ones between 8.1 to 8.5. Is there anything we need to extract so that we can have a discussion about it? Or are we good on 8.1 to 8.5 as a block? Linda, I know you were looking for something, so I just want to make sure that you're good. Okay, all right. So no discussion.
Out by 9.
Yeah, I know. 8:51. Let's see. Roll call. Board clerk, please.
Yes. Okay.
Wonderful board clerk.
Student trustee Yeruni.
Yes.
Trustee Withrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins.
Yes.
Trustee Handy.
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuen.
Yes.
Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. The motion passes to approve all of the action items 8.1 through 8.5.
Thank you. Let's go to 9.1, Board of Trustee reports. And I'm just going to go through my tile here. Trustee Delphine Polk.
I have nothing specific to report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Withrow.
I'll pass. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Jenkins.
Nothing for me. Thank you for a timely meeting.
Okay, Trustee Handy.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Are the other colleges still doing food giveaways, or have they stopped? I keep hearing conflicting information.
Chancellor, presidents.
Go for it, Presidents. Angelica.
Well, by other colleges, I know she means not Merritt because she's down there every
you know
Tuesday
I'm there.
and Thursday.
Yeah.
So I'll let the others chime in.
Sure. Berkeley City College, we are providing services through the food pantry and expanded outreach in that capacity, working with the Berkeley Food Network and the Alameda Food Bank. We are no longer at this point in time distributing meals through World Central Kitchen. Much of the surrounding area was quite saturated in the city of Berkeley, that the partnership made a lot more sense to divert resources to parts of the East Bay community that weren't as saturated. And just to put it into context, in our 4-block radius between Berkeley High School, the YMCA, Berkeley City College, and components of UC Berkeley, there was just so much going on there that it was just oversaturated. So that is not taking place at BCC anymore, but the food pantry expanded services being led by our student and campus life is still taking place for students.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. And the other colleges are, I mean, you can just raise your hand if you're still doing it. Some students were saying no food is being given out by the others, and I didn't think that was the case. And Rudy, you guys are still giving?
Yes, we are doing it at least through February, and we're also looking at shifting toward, we do have a culinary arts program, we do have a food services program. We're actually looking at shifting to at least some of what we're distributing being prepared on campus.
Which is a great idea. Yeah, and the reason I ask is because this has gone on so much longer than expected. World Central Kitchen is running out of funding. And as you say, there are some duplications in some areas. There's a lot of food going on. I know that today we had a collaboration with the Homies Empowerment Group, and it brought hundreds of people in, but the food was continuous because it's a different source. So what I thought might just be a good idea that, you know, if you have any ideas that you have, if it could be shared with all the 4 campuses, like consolidating because you have a lot of food coming in one area, or if there are other sources or funding sources, I'd love to hear what people are doing, because our students may be students at 4 different colleges at once. And at this point, sharing resources could really be helpful, because I know I'm trying to find any other organizations that might be able to contribute to what we were doing there at Occur, because the need is really great. And as I said, I get off the block twice a week, and that's Tuesdays and Thursdays to represent Merritt and Doris Hankins and Kim and Missy. The Merritt College volunteers have just been there and been consistent. And it's just been a really powerful thing today. But today was totally unexpected. The last minute, MacArthur Boulevard was closed down. So Homies Empowerment came into the same site where we were. And you would have thought it was a festival. And the food, I'm going to be cooking some fresh produce tonight too. So that's all that I have reported. I'm just still grateful that we have an opportunity to get out and volunteer, and also gives us an opportunity to hear from our community and talk about our colleges and pass out literature and let people know that we're still here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Yandy. And then Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan, Vice President Gonzalez-Yuan.
Thank you. I've dropped in the chat some links for people. I think a lot of you know that annually we do a thing at De Anza College called the California Campus Camp, which is a statewide training program. We usually have about 80 participants from maybe 15 colleges across the state, north and south. We come together for a weekend of civic and community engagement training, trying to empower students to really control their communities and their lives in collaboration with faculty and staff, and building out civic engagement programs on campuses. This year, obviously, nobody's meeting in person, no one with any sense in any case, Super Bowl fanatics notwithstanding. But we've moved it all online. And so we're doing a series of webinars on Thursdays from 4 to 6. I really want to invite people to come on by. We've got some really fabulous sessions set up, 2 of which are going to feature the work really here at Peralta, one with the amazing journalism program with the Peralta Citizen. Big shout out to those students. And then another featuring the work that we've been doing to rethink community safety programs, and with the Black Minds Matter group and so forth. But we've got a whole range of things. In 2 weeks, we've got the fabulous Amy Allison from She the People coming to talk about the leadership of women of color across the country in really saving the nation from the rising tide of white nationalism and authoritarianism, but also featuring women of color within the community college system in California, and the really powerful leadership that we're seeing there. So that's kind of one of the hats that I wear, and I'd like to warmly extend an invitation to our entire community to participate. We're not limited this year to that number of 80 because we're all online. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen. And I too will pass. And I will give it back to you, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen. Let me know if there are any announcements to close the meeting off.
There are. Let me just pull that back up. Sorry. Thank you, Mai, for sending those to me. Okay, let's see. Upcoming holidays. The district is closed on Friday, February 12th, Lincoln's birthday observed, and Monday, February 15th, Washington's birthday observed. The next board meeting is February 23. We'd like to remind students, faculty, and staff about the PeopleSoft upgrade this week, beginning tomorrow night at 10 p.m. PeopleSoft will be offline through the long holiday weekend and will return in version 9.2, which promises to be spectacular and fabulous on Tuesday morning, February 16th at 6 a.m. Let us wish our IT staff good luck in that incredible endeavor. I'm sure that's going to be really stressful for everybody involved. And so thank you for working diligently to keep us going. If you need to enter something in PeopleSoft powered tools like Passport or Prompt or One Peralta, get it done like as soon as possible tonight or tomorrow, and then be prepared to wait until next week to get the rest of it done. You can read more about that transition on the Peralta websites and at gems.peralta.edu. Thank you, Mai, for putting those announcements together. I think that's it. Unless you want me to start reading the phone book.
No, please don't.
Okay.
I did have one more thing to say.
Yes, yes.
I want to thank all of you trustees and Maisha for getting the proclamation done for Anita Black. Her service was last week. It was on Zoom, and I was able to deliver the acknowledgement of all of her accomplishments, and it was well received by her family. We will be sharing that one more time on the celebration that Merritt College has on the 19th. And then the proclamation itself will be sent to her mother and sister in Chicago. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you again, Trustee Handy. All right, with that, I bid all of you adieu and good night, and thank you, and have a wonderful coming week and weekend. Thank you all. Take care.
Good night. Thank you, staff.
Good night.
Thank you.